just like the planes going by. Come on. What? Well, Big Red is having an egg. Come on. Come on out. Quit yapping. Come on out. Come on, Freckles. Okay, now that everybody has calmed down and Freckles is free to roam around, let's talk about coral bells, because it's all about coral bells today. Now, some people call them Heucheras. I call them Heucheras. Some people call them Heucheras. I don't know, tomatoes, but I'm going to call them coral bell just to keep them simple. But on a previous video, I spoke about changing out my coral bells over here because they are super camouflage. So today we are going to talk about what I'm replacing them with, because there are so many varieties out there, and there are some that accept the sun more than others, and some that really perform well with damper lighting. So let's talk about that. Okay, like I mentioned in a previous video, I talked about how my coral bells over here are very camouflaged because of the soil. And so I love them. I think that color is really nice because it's muted. It kind of cools down the area. But at the same time, everything else pops around it. And then you look straight forward and it almost kind of gets lost. So today what I'm going to plant is I'm going to be planting some zipper coral bells. I don't know how much of a zipper they look, but I'm going to be planting some zipper coral bells, and then I'm going to be planting some marmalade. Now these two are going to complement each other because they pretty much look alike, even though the variety name is different. But these are going to be so much better, so much brighter, and just more pleasant to look at than over here. Then I'll pull these out and use them somewhere in my yard. So here's what it looks like before I start planting. Hey girls, you gotta move. You guys are a much better wall than you are a window. Uh-oh. See, kitty? Yeah. Now that was the first experience that my kitty had with the chickens. She's gonna realize they're not for eating. And she's coming back for more. Coco, where'd the big birdie go? Where'd the big birdie go? Here they come. Well, that was a little bit of a standoff between the two. I thought maybe Coco would recharge them, but looks like they're going to be in good friendly terms now. But anyway, let's talk about coral bells, because there are so many varieties out there. Some accept the sun a little bit more than others. Some do so much better and perform so much better with damper lighting. I have them strewed all over my yard. I have them in the side yard where they perform beautifully and get big and lush, and in a short period of time. I have some in the very, very front that at one time were totally exposed to the sunlight, and they grew nice and big and were very bright red. Now that they're getting a little bit more shade, now they're getting more into a multicolored stem, but they're still performing beautifully. Then I have this one here, which is my Dream Lucid coral bell, and this one get quite a bit of sun and they perform beautifully. So there are just a lot of varieties out there, and you just got to kind of play with your yard in the area where you're going to be planting them to see where they best fit. So with that, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and dig these up and then start planting this, and we'll talk more about them. these coral bells are really beautiful, actually. I love the color of them. I can't remember the variety because I keep losing the tags. But I'm going to say that this is a Forever Red. It could be something else. And it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous Heuchera, if I can't say so myself. But it has pretty camouflage, so it's better to change them out. There we go. Now, these ones, in my experience, they need pretty much moderate watering. So I would say keep them closer to the moist soil, then let them dry out, and then rewater. That's my suggestion for coral bells. So the difference between the marmalade and the zipper is that if you notice, the marmalade has a whiter leaf foliage, and the bottom of it is kind of a muted pink or red. This one is a little bit brighter in color of pink, but the leaf form is more kind of like a maple. It's kind of more jagged and a little bit closer together. So do you see how much it looks like a maple leaf there? So if you bring these two together, you can see there's a big vast difference. Now, regardless of the variety name, they both can be cold hardy down to minus 25 degrees. In some areas, especially in zone 8B, these are an evergreen. Now, there are some other areas, some other states that it could be semi-evergreen. And then there's some other states, maybe Florida, I'm not really sure how their environment is. I do know that it's very humid there. So under a really nice protected area, because it does get pretty hot in the East Coast and it is very humid, these would probably work really well in a shaded area where they are protected from the heat, but more so from the sun. So when you look at them, look at the tag, and in the back will show whether it's full sun or shade. This has where it's got a really dark area, and that means it can handle really deep shade and it can tolerate some sun. Now, in my opinion, and if you really do the research, Heucheras are very drought tolerant. I mean, you can really see how dry that is. But yet, look at how alive it is. That's how you know how drought tolerant your plant is. But you also know that you're underwatering as well. So give it a good watering, like really soak it, then let it dry out in between watering. That's how you handle and care for your Heucheras. So with that, let me go ahead and plant these, and then you can see what they look like afterwards. Now I am planting them a little bit snug, even though the marmalade is going to get about 18 inches in diameter, 10 inches tall. And the zipper, let's see, what does the zipper? The zipper, that's the marmalade. Now the zipper is going to get 8 inches tall, 12 inches in diameter. Okay, I think that's about where I'm going to put those. What do you think? So now that I'm done planting all the coral bells over there, and they're looking fantastic, I can't wait for you to see that. I decided that I'm going to go ahead and plant the coral bells that I took out of there and place them here, because this area is pretty green. Even though it has foliage of color, I just think having a little bit of red over in this area is going to look really stunning. So to do that, I need to take out my little pirate hosta that's actually supposed to get about 12 inches in diameter. It's been struggling because of the chickens laying on it and, you know, just digging around it. So I'm going to move that out, place these ones in their place, and I think it's going to look really pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It might be struggling because it's getting a lot of roots in this area, but it looks really healthy. It's just stunted its growth because of the chickens, like I said. So I'm just going to place it where it's going to be a little bit healthier. I'm going to place it where it's going to be a little bit happier. Yeah, and then it'll just do its thing and grow 12 inches by 12 inches like it's supposed to. This dead foliage is from the winter that I never really cleaned up. It doesn't help if you don't water. That I can probably try to propagate. I love it, you guys. I really love this, the way it came out. Now, I did water everything down so everything's wet and kind of, you know, whimpering a little bit from the weight of the water. I will wait until this kind of dries up so you can see them perk up. This gal here is so attracted to red, and she will pick on things. Oh, she's drinking water. That's what she's doing. She's drinking the water from the leaves. I better get him some water. I just thought of something. I know the perfect thing for the center part. Oops, sorry, ladies. There's your water. I don't know that that's the right thing to do. Come here. Well, that didn't work out very well, but I found a perfect spot. This stone right here, this flagstone, was what was right behind the Heucheras. Well, I decided to put it here, and then I grabbed a couple of other flagstones. So you walk through it, and it leads you right over here. You know, sometimes working in the spur of the moment and doing things without really having a plan sometimes works better than having a plan. At least for me, that's the way it works out. So yeah, now the animals will be happy and well hydrated. I have a new walking path and a beautiful garden over here with vibrant colors. So anyway, little changes is always a great thing in your garden. But let's go check out the coral bells because they're probably all pretty dry now. So doesn't this look wonderful? Now, this has the pop of color that I have been looking for. Now I can go in any part of my backyard and look in this direction and see that there's actually color here and that there's something here. Now, I put that fountain over here thinking that maybe it would work for the chickens and for our dog to come and drink water. And it looked really great, but the thing is that if I leave it here, I'm inviting my pets to trample into my plants. And so I decided maybe that wasn't the best idea to do, as much as I thought it looked really pretty there. But eventually I will move that rock and I will probably plant something else in its place. But for right now, the reason why I keep a rock there is because now I can actually step over and maintain either my clematis, or if I need to dig in there, I have something to step on rather than stepping into the soil. But it's also there because it deters the chickens from digging around there, and so it's really great to have stones around your garden sometimes when you have chickens. But I love it. I absolutely love it. Now the coral bells here are going to survive perfectly and they're going to do really well. Now eventually I will need to move them because everything here is going to be giant hostas, so I may have to move it down the road, but for now I think it looks really good, even though it still kind of looks a little hidden there. I mean, it still looks dark, but it still adds color to that area, and I just think it really looks good personally. Now this is complete. I did lift up my Japanese fern because the chickens kept tramping on it and lowering it down into the ground, so now it looks nice and perky. I thought it was dying, but it really was just being trampled by the chickens and the pets and whatnot. But yeah, that looks really great. And so here is what you take away from this, if you take anything away from any of this, because I do want to do a clarification. When I mentioned about the zipper being more tolerant of sun and that it could accept a lot of shade, well, that was half true. Really what it comes down to, if you look at the tag here, it shows that it can take just as much sun as it can shade. So this is going to do really well over in this area, because this area right here gets blasted with morning sun for maybe a couple hours or so, and then it'll gradually go into a shaded garden or filtered light garden as you see now, and it gives it the perfect lighting. Now the marmalade over here, now that one does accept more sun than it does shade, so it'll tolerate shade but will accept more sun. So either way, both of them are going to be perfect in this area. Now what you take away from this is this. Whether it's a coral bell or whether it's any plant, that you look at the tag and it shows that it takes full sun, don't take that for granted. Because full sun doesn't mean direct afternoon sun. It just means that it wants a lot of light. And it requires maybe a lot of light for that to do very well, or maybe even flower. But coral bells as a whole, there's some that do take and tolerate more sunlight, but it doesn't mean hot afternoon sunlight. Play around with your plants in your yard, put them in different positions, leave them there for a couple days, and then check out what they do. If they fare well in that area, then that's a great area for them. But I wouldn't immediately plant something without giving it a test run, because especially depending on your area and the heat that you guys all receive in your neck of the woods is going to really determine of whether that plant is going to be happy or not. Now, there's also a myth around that says that the darker the foliage on coral bells, the more sun it can take. And that's not necessarily true, because if you look at my lucid, my dream lucid, it's very dark, and yet this marmalade is very light. And this can take a lot of sun. So it doesn't always ring true, in my opinion. So, but play with your plants and see where it takes you. But with that, you guys, thank you so much for watching. And you guys, don't forget to get up, get out, and get active. Even if you change the soil on your plant or move a plant here or there, it's like giving it a whole new facelift. Who would have thought that just adding some color here would have changed this whole garden area and make it look fresh and new again? So keep that in mind when you're doing gardening. But most of all, you guys, thank you for joining me. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Love you guys. I'll see you next time.